ADA is bound to crash. And this is going to shock you because it's coming from someone who is very bullish on ADA, who believes in Cardano. But I cannot neglect the history. I cannot neglect the stories from our past, from the past of the cryptocurrencies. Because what Cardano is doing and what ADA as a token is doing, it resembles the story of two other major altcoins. If we have learned anything from their past, it is pretty obvious that ADA is going to crash. So what ADA is doing is it is following the story of Solana and Ethereum. The reason why I came to this conclusion started from a very bullish story. So Everstake came with some new stats, which you can see right now, that compared the developers' activity of Cardano and Avalanche. And the conclusion is pretty straightforward, and it is in front of us. Cardano has 4.5 times more developers than Avalanche. Cardano has 3.5 times more commits than Avalanche. Cardano has 1.9 times more repos than Avalanche. Cardano has 1.8 times more stars than Avalanche. Cardano has 1.9 times more watchers than Avalanche. So Cardano takes the lead here in terms of developer activity. Usually when you think about developer activity, you would assume that more protocols are being built on this blockchain. But here is the reality. Currently, Avalanche has a DeFi TVL of $744 million, and Cardano has a TVL of $134 million. So on one end, you have a higher developer activity on Cardano. And usually when it comes to these rankings, Cardano usually ranks number 2, number 3, just after Ethereum and maybe ICP sometimes. So in terms of developer activity, Cardano usually ranks much higher. But when it comes to DeFi TVL, it ranks way lower than all of the remaining, blockchains, because majority of these developers, they're not focusing on developing more dApps, more DeFi protocols. They're focused on the core of the Cardano blockchain, the blockchain layer of it. But on Avalanche, they're more focused towards new protocols, new apps, and so forth. But that's not the point here. This only led me to research more. And what I found afterwards is what shocked me. And that is this. Currently, the DeFi TVL of Avalanche is 744. Cardano has a DeFi TVL of 134. So there's a massive difference here. But if we compare the market cap of Cardano and Avalanche, there's a huge difference. Avalanche has a market cap of $4 billion. Cardano has a market cap of $9 billion. How is this possible? I mean, Avalanche has about 7 times higher DeFi TVL than Cardano, and we're talking about in bear market. In 2022, the TVL of Avalanche hit $11 billion. The peak of Cardano TVL is at about 700 million. So their peaks has almost a 15 times difference. So why is it that markets are valuating AVAX much lower than Cardano? And here's why. The current price of AVAX, which is at about $9.53, this is based on the real and current usage of the blockchain, whereas a large portion of ADA's price is based on speculation and not real usage. Eventually, everything comes down to real usage. Whenever we are talking about DeFi activity, on-chain volume, or TVL, we're talking about usage. What usage? We're talking about usage of the native token, which for Avalanche is the AVAX. For Cardano, it is the ADA token. So if there is more dApps, more DeFi activity on the Avalanche blockchain, that means more AVAX is used, which in this case is true because they do have a decent volume. And the difference is actually massive here. So the decentralized exchange volume on Avalanche is $162 million in the last 24 hours. For Cardano, the decentralized exchange volume in the past 24 hours is less than 1 million. So there is 162 times difference in the decentralized exchange volume of both of these blockchains. And here's more. We have protocols on Avalanche who has their individual TVL that is 3 times higher than the entire TVL of Cardano. We have AVE, with a TVL of 408 million, whereas Cardano has a total TVL of $134 million. So Avalanche is way in the lead here in terms of usage. Cardano holder base is filled with people who are bullish on ADA, who believe that Cardano will have a higher DeFi activity, more usage in the future. So what they're doing is they are pricing in higher DeFi activity, a higher TVL in the current price. This price of ADA that we are seeing here, it has already priced in the future increased DeFi activity and TVL of Cardano. So when that expectation is actually met, for example, right now, people who are buying ADA, they are hoping that in the future, Cardano will have a TVL of $1 billion. So that's why they're buying ADA right now. That is why the value of ADA is what it is at the moment, because they have priced in that Cardano will have a TVL of $1 billion. Now, when Cardano actually has a TVL of $1 billion, nothing is going to happen with the price because it just met the expectation. The 1 billion TVL was already priced in the current price. So the only way that the price of ADA is going to increase if it goes beyond the expectation the users have, which is going to be a bit of a stretch. And like I said before, this has been done in the past by two tokens that we know as Ethereum and Solana. So here's what happened. Back in around 2016, 2017, 2018, the price of Ethereum kept on rising, but the DeFi activity, the DeFi TVL, it was very, very low. So at that time, people were hoping and they were pricing in the future usage of Ethereum, and that's why they were buying Ethereum. But when that usage didn't happen afterwards, the price of Ethereum dropped from about $1,400 and it dropped to almost $80. So there was a 94% decrease in the price of Ethereum because the usage didn't happen. The DeFi activity that everyone hoped for didn't actually happen. Price crashed 94%. And the same thing happened with Solana. It went up to almost $247, but when the usage wasn't there, the price crashed and it came down to almost $8. So for the Ethereum price increase that you witnessed right here, this mountain that we have, there was no increase in the TVL here. And when Ethereum actually delivered on what it promised and exceeded everyone's expectation, which, it went actually beyond what anyone imagined at about $105 billion of TVL, which is quite massive, that is when Ethereum exploded. So Cardano is following the same story. Right now, the price of ADA is based more on speculation and not real usage, which is what happened with Ethereum and Solana. And because of that, I think the price of ADA will eventually crash. And when the real usage arrives, that is when ADA is going to explode. Now, I personally believe that the usage that we are hoping for Cardano to have in the future, that is going to happen. But Cardano has a different way of working around. It's not an EVM chain. It's not a DeFi powerhouse yet. It's not a host, and it will possibly never be a host for that meme craze or the meme coin rallies, which contributes a lot towards these TVLs of Solana. But eventually, in the long run, ADA will have a much higher DeFi activity, which will lead to a much higher valuation of ADA. But before that happens, I think right now, ADA is mispriced. A lot of the price is based on speculation. Eventually, the market is going to correct itself and the price of ADA will crash before it goes up. This is what we have seen happen in the past, and I think this is going to repeat here with Cardano again before it goes back up. That is my take for it. That is my hypothesis. It can be wrong. I mean, it's crypto. If anything that we know about crypto is that it's wildly unpredictable. So I, of course, can be wrong, but that's my opinion on this. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in the next video shortly. So stay tuned.